let's see. A DPIA is a process to help you identify and minimize data protection risk of a project. So when I say you, it means a controller. It is through this that the controller can establish that before processing the data, we already, did some research. There were some measures that we took, and after we took that measure, we are now safe to proceed with processing of data in this particular way. When you make a DPIA from, like, you must do a DPIA when the result is high, when you have likely, remember the word likely, it doesn't have to be 100% sure. Even if you are 30% sure that this may result in high risk to data, you should do a DPIA there. That's why the word likely is being used. So it includes some specific types of processing. It generally relates to health data or financial data, or if data is going to a third country or an adequate country for that matter. And in that adequate country, there are not good measures to protect that data. So in such cases, you must do a data protection impact assessment. It is a good practice to do a DPIA for any other major project which requires processing of personal data. If you have a project where there is to be a mass processing of personal data, a large number of data is going to be processed, and there are also analytics that has to be used, then in such cases, you must do a DPIA, because as a privacy officer, I've reiterated time and again that you're a non-financial risk manager, right? When you're working as a risk manager or a risk controller, then you're also working as a compliance officer in that case, because you're ensuring that there is privacy compliance. And so you're working in risk and compliance, then you must have everything documented. From your end as a privacy professional, you must ensure that you have done proper due diligence, and then only you have signed on to letting this data be processed in a certain way. Otherwise, the company will always come back to you that as a privacy professional, why did you not warn us about this? Why did you not say that these measures were not enough? So as a privacy professional, you should always ensure that when there is processing of data at large scale, or if you have a feeling that this is risky, or if you have documents before you which shows that this processing could be risky, you insist for a DPIA and keep everything in your mail. Everything should be documented. A mail chain can be traced, and you will not be in any problem because you were always recommending for that. It's difficult to be a privacy person. So DPIA is required whenever processing is considered to be highly risky. A DPIA is required at least in the following cases. So a systematic and extensive evaluation of personal aspect of individual data, including profiling. Now you can take any example here. For example, somebody goes to a hospital. There are 100 people going to the hospital. You're taking their blood test, or many people might have had COVID. You're taking their COVID samples, and you're also registering the age and other symptoms that they have. And through that, you're feeding it into an analytical system, an algorithm, which gives you an option of reaching out to these people later, and then suggesting them certain medicines, that use these medicines to avoid certain problems which we feel that you might have given your blood sample that you have given. So things like that, if people have agreed to that and you're doing such kind of profiling, then this DPIA is very, very important. Processing of sensitive data on large scale, if you're processing political information, children's data, uh, uh, sexual orientation data, any sensitive data that you're processing, in that you need to have data protection impact assessment. Systematic monitoring of public areas on a large scale. So it depends from one area to another, and also the purpose for which you are monitoring. Uh, for example, if you are outside a political building, then obviously you're in the range of a camera and you're being monitored for safety purposes. But if there are other places that you're being monitored and you do not know the cause or the reason, then or that data is being stored. For example, that data is being stored for a longer time. If something happens, we can trace back. So if you're traveling through metro, and every metro station you are at, and they're taking your data and they're storing it for a really, really long time. And where are they storing that data? then in that case, they should have a DPIA conducted that, okay, we are doing this for these purposes.